And now, CBS 21 News Spring Weather Week with the First Warning Weather Team, sponsored by Renewal by Andersen.
Spring's almost here, but what is a typical spring like in Central PA? And more importantly, what can we expect this year? Let's go to CBS 21's meteorologist Steve Knight for all those answers.
We're coming off an El Nino winter and what has been a very active pattern for the last several months. Much of last year was very dry until November and December. Meanwhile, over the winter, snowpack and frequent rains have replenished our groundwater supplies. In fact, all drought restrictions have now been lifted in every county across the Commonwealth, and we appear to be in good shape heading into the spring planting season.
Early springtime in Central PA is often marked by up and down temperature swings as the climate is making the often bumpy transition from the colder winter air lingering while warmer springtime air is advancing in. This is why some of our most severe weather and threats for tornadoes happens in springtime. The springtime months tend to bring a good amount of precipitation, with each month averaging over 3.5 inches of rain. Hey, we all know the old saying that April showers bring May flowers, but did you know that here in Central PA, we actually normally get more rain in May than we do in April? It tends to also be a bit of a slow process, but springtime, of course, ushers in some warmer temperatures. In April, our average high is only 63.8, but by June, that jumps all the way to 82.4. And that's why the good rule of thumb for planting your spring flowers is always to wait until Mother's Day in May.
As far as what we can expect this spring, well, so far it has been a very wet year with a rainfall surplus that is already over 3 inches. We think we can expect the rainfall to slow down slightly, but that we can still expect at least an average amount of rainfall through mid-June. As far as temperatures are concerned, don't expect to be basking in the glow of consistent highs in the 70s anytime soon, as our springtime will get off to a bit of a slow start. But that's nothing too unusual, as April usually has some colder stretches and we don't officially average 70 degrees for our daily high temperature until early May. The good news is that springtime is almost here, and while warmer days are definitely ahead, we might just have to be a little patient this year.
Warm weather may have you itching to clean up your garden, but not so fast.
I know, you think you want to get out there, but there's a lot of precious cargo and all of that debris and leaf litter, and meteorologist Ed Russo is going to tell us all about it.
Here in central Pennsylvania, we have over 400 native bees, and they are just now emerging with the warmer weathers that we're having.
Those bees are in all of those leaves and sticks that have been laying in your garden during the winter months. So if you clear the litter, you're unintentionally getting rid of important pollinators.
One of the things that I like to talk about is I'll be a little bit of a lazy gardener this time of year. We really want those consistent spring temperatures, and we are not there yet. So 50 and above is ideal. I usually tell people wait till the apple trees bloom. That's usually a good sign that you can start cleaning up a little bit.
So as the weather continues to warm up, remember, you don't want to clear your whole garden from all that leaf litter, and you don't want to necessarily cut everything back to the ground either. This is called phlox. This is a native plant in Pennsylvania. And what phlox is, it's actually a bee bassinet. So adult bees will lay their eggs on the inside of these hollow tubes, and then they'll hatch the following year. So when you're trying to cut this stuff back, cut it back about maybe 12 to 18 inches from the soil so that you still have enough plant here where the bees can lay their eggs. And it's not just the bees that are overwintering in the ground, it's the chrysalises and caterpillars, which of course become important pollinators once they become butterflies. If you're planning on starting a garden this year, it's important to stick with native plants.
So only 5% of our native plants host 75% of our butterflies. So native plants are super important because they support the ecosystem.
Native trees in the region support as many as 250 different types of caterpillars. That's a lot. You know how many caterpillars birds need to feed their nest? About 3,000. And that's a lot of food. So remember, keep the litter, keep it native, and be a lazy gardener this spring.
Spring Weather Week, it continues. We'll show you when the last freeze usually takes place. Some good advice here. You know, there's an old gardening rule of thumb in Central PA. No planting until after Mother's Day. Mother's Day is in May, and it's hard to wait when it's this warm and this nice in March. But Mother Nature can really be cruel and wipe out your tender plants in a heartbeat, so you have to show her some respect. Patience is the key. As tempting as it is to start planting that garden, don't do it. That killing freeze will render all your hard work useless. Instead, use pots to start your plants, so then you can take them inside when those cold nights threaten. So, when is it safe to plant? Let's look at the date of the last spring freeze for central PA. Now keep in mind, frost can form at temperatures above 32 degrees. So generally 36 or below is considered the danger zone for those tender plants. Now let's take a look at the date of last freeze for most of our area, including Cumberland County, most of Dauphin County. It is April the 11th. When you get to our northern counties, Mifflin, Juniata County, over towards Schuylkill County, it jumps to April the 21st. And then beyond that, places like State College, Sealands Grove, you got to wait all the way until May the 1st. But if you really want to be safe, don't plant until after Mother's Day.
Our series continues with Ed Russo showing us why you sneeze so much this time of year.
Well, it's that time of year as we head into spring. Everyone starts sniffling. A lot of you are already sniffling, and we can blame that on what we call spring allergies. And there's a lot of different types. I mean, tree pollen is one of the biggest offenders. So we've got pine, oak, birch, ash. I mean, I don't have them all listed here, but those are the main ones. And then those are your mold spores. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce them. But grass is another big one. Grass allergies, fescue, brome, orchard, sweet vernal. So what makes allergies worse? Well, obviously weather conditions can make things a little worse in terms of allergies. And really weather conditions are often the big driver on how bad it's going to be. So we've had a pretty wet year so far. We're about 4 inches above normal in terms of rainfall. A lot of that has been rain as opposed to snow. And whenever you have a wetter season, you have a better chance to see the potential for mold growth. So that obviously can create more mold spores, which exacerbate allergies. And also we've been mild, so that can actually cause early pollination of trees and other plants. So the main allergy that we see throughout the spring season is pollen. And remember, on a windy day, the wind can drive that pollen around, and that can also contribute to some allergies. And then also increased amounts of rain also can drive mold. So I wouldn't say this spring is going to be anything unusual, but definitely some weather conditions present to make it just a little bit more annoying than many of us would probably like.
Total eclipse of the sun is just a little over 2 weeks away. Northwest Pennsylvania is in the path known as totality. Here's meteorologist Ed Russo with more on what that means.
In just a few short weeks, a very small part of North America will be witnessing a total solar eclipse. And Northwest Pennsylvania is included in that. So what happens during a total solar eclipse? Well, the moon passes between the sun and the earth, and the apparent size of the moon, the size that you see the moon when you're looking at it in the sky, matches the apparent size of the sun. So as the moon passes over the sun, it blocks out all sunlight, and the moon casts a very dark shadow on the earth. And that dark shadow, or full shadow, wherever that shadow is, that's the same place that is going to witness a total eclipse. So what you're seeing here is the path of totality. There the moon's shadow, and inside that shadow is where skies go dark in the afternoon. That's, again, where we see or witness the total eclipse. So it's going to go across the Midwest, and eventually it's going to get into Northwest Pennsylvania. So around 3:16 to 3:20 in the afternoon, again on Monday, April 8th, that's when Erie, Pennsylvania is going to go dark, as they are in the path of totality. So it's 4 minutes of totality where skies go dark in the afternoon. And if you're going to witness this event, remember, you have to be very careful on how you view it. You always have to wear safety glasses. So never look directly at the sun during an eclipse. And remember, it's even safer to observe indirectly by using something called a pinhole projector, which basically means you can actually see the eclipse by peering through a cereal box. But if you are going to be up there watching the eclipse, remember, safety first, always have those safety glasses on.
Thanks for watching the CBS 21 News YouTube page. For more top stories and breaking news, be sure to subscribe to this page and download our news app.